So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am back here in the studio. Been a little bit since we've done a podcast because I was in South Africa, really enjoying myself, but it was very tiring. And the reason why it was very tiring because we was from sun up to sundown, we was working. I didn't have no free time to do a whole lot. Anything that I saw or captured, it was in the midst of work. But like I said, I did see a lot, learned a lot. Definitely some blanks was filled in that I had on certain things, understanding their history, etc. And I go into my assessment of South Africa on African Diaspora News channel. But today we're going to talk about Black News Channel. Now, we talked about them when it was laying off people a while back. And now the news has come out that they had shut down after their backer, Shadi Khan, who is a not black, let's say that much. He was the backer. He's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He initially gave them $50 million to start the network and grow the network where it can make some money. The particular network was considered a black targeted network, but it was not a black owned network. Now, I want to repeat that again. It was a black targeted network, but not a black owned network. And so that alone in this climate here in America made it very, shaky at the least in the beginning. But let's continue before I get into my assessment of all of this and why this has happened and even some trials and tribulations I've even dealt with. So I can actually understand how things change. So they talked about the Black News Channel. They had focused on serving black viewers, ceased operations on Friday afternoon after its billionaire backer declined to provide more funding for the startups. And many of the news channel's journalists left careers at established media organizations to join the startup in hopes of bringing news to a historically underserved audience. They say once the station presenters, Mark Lamont Shield, told the Hollywood Reporter that, an incredible assignment and would work to fill the void for neglected audiences at a relaunch 1 year ago. Now, the channel ceased live operations on Friday afternoon after it failed to make payroll. About 230 employees were laid off, informed they would not receive severance pay, and their health benefits would end in a week. Ooh, that's not good at all. Wow. You're not going to pay people with their salary? Ooh. Now, they say the channel also faced a gender discrimination lawsuit, which we covered here, after the female employees claimed that their white male counterparts earned more money. And we talked about that. How the hell you Black News Channel and the white males are in leadership and making more money at Black News Channel? But you don't hear that going on at CNN, MSNBC, etc. No, because that's a white-owned network for white people to disseminate the news of white supremacy that you have to understand about the mainstream media. Now, they say during the past few months, they claim that they endured very painful workforce reductions at all levels of the network, and we are working to achieve our financial goal of breaking even in the business. Prancil Hare, the same CEO, said in the memo. He said, this has forced all of you to do more with less, and your contributions have been remarkable. Unfortunately, due to the challenging market conditions and global financial pressures, we have been able to meet our financial goals, and the timeline afforded to us has run out. Okay. So, first of all, just knowing the business, I'm in this business. I've seen ups and downs, and at times I have to make certain decisions that I don't even want to make either at times. When you're trying to grow, it do take money. Oh, yes, it takes a lot of money. And I didn't have the funding of $50 million at all. If I had ended up getting $50 million, I knew exactly what to do with $50 million to make that grow. But the first thing you can't do, in which they said they had over 230 employees, if you're not making the money to justify 230 employees, you can't really do that. I mean, so basically from when they're admitting they hired too many people, so they had to lay off a lot of people. Then the bad part is you got people to leave networks that they were doing okay at. Their paycheck was pretty much guaranteed. And then they went over there with y'all. And then now you're talking about you're not going to even pay these people. So now you're going to be dealing with people, suing you. The state can come after you for that as well, for refusing to pay people their salary. Sometimes, you can make mistakes in hiring. Sometimes you may have to create other avenues, or sometimes the business is down. But the main issue from what I've seen, you didn't have the support of the community. And when you don't have the support of the community, and you're not even working hard to get that support, then see, you can't sit up here and call yourself Black News Channel and the people who owns it isn't Black people. I mean, we just live in a different time period that's not going to be allowed. Some people talk about, well, Black people watch BET and that's owned by Viacom. That's white people. Black BET started off with a Black founder, Bob Johnson. Okay. BET was a pillar in the Black community, and Black people was very proud of BET until Bob Johnson unfortunately sold it, and now he regrets selling it, but he sold it, and now it's turned into what it's turned into today. So if Viacom would have started BET, it wouldn't have got no support either. You understand what I'm saying? Just to name one. But we live in a space now that TV in America and throughout a lot of the Western world, that's going down a lot, and everyone don't have time to watch TV. This including myself. I think the most I've actually recently watched TV while I was in South Africa, enjoying some of those South African shows on that channel, Mzansi Magic. I watched some good shows on that channel. I was enjoying myself. But outside of that, most of us are digital. Most of us is watching on our phones in some way, form, or fashion. If you not have anything with a digital presence, if you're not on, you have a website that can be easily accessed. If you don't have an app that can be easily accessed, somewhere you got to be online, because people's, time today don't have time to sit down and watch TV. People don't watch that in the West. They don't. So I think that's a failed strategy to try to just solely focus on TV. Now you look at the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the Fox News, etc. The reason why they stay afloat is because the government funds them. And the reason the government funds them, because they funds them to push official narratives. That recently came out when they talked about the situation with the virus and how the Biden administration gave all these Black so-called sounding networks money to push that. And it gave them a lot of money to push it. And even your friend and I don't know what else we can call him, Boule Martin, they even revealed that he got $250,000 from the U.S. Census back in 2020 underneath the Trump administration. Now, I talked about most of these organizations, you hear them talking, they bought and paid for. And, a lot of people say, oh, that's just a rumor. You guys are just jealous. You guys are this, jealous of their success, And then it's come out. Well, now they dropping a dime on everybody who got money to push their narratives. You understand what I'm saying? So if they gave them money to push the narrative of during the pandemic, this is why the CNNs and the MSNBCs or whatever it seems like they got unlimited capital, because it's been proven people all over America aren't watching TV like that anymore. Why do you think you have so many streaming services now from all these different networks? Because people aren't watching TV. People want to watch shows when they want to watch it, when they have time. So when you're doing things in this space, when you focus it on TV, I'm talking about any of you up and coming journalists or people that's already journalists. I've talked to some of you here in America. I've talked to some of you in Africa too. And a lot of you tell me, oh my God, I wish I can kind of do what you can do. You can do it. You got the talent, but you got to have the drive. You got to understand to be patient. You got to understand it's not going to happen overnight, and you got to learn how to build. It's just that simple. And understand that you need to tap into what the grassroots is saying and understand who they are. Black News Channel didn't do that. See, Black News Channel, when you go and hire people like Charles Blow, you don't have no ear to the streets. When you go and deal with Mark Lamont Shield, you don't have no ear to the streets. It's the same thing. Now I'm going to bring up Boule Martin. He tried to make a video talking about a BNC autopsy. Roland, you failed too. You was on TV One. Forget that. You was on with Miss Kathy Hughes. You were with her, Roland, and you failed. You failed, and you trying to talk about an autopsy, Roland? Roland, you the last person, because you was on TV One, okay, Miss Kathy Hughes, everybody know who she is. They know her face. So they didn't even really say that about the network that you was on, Roland. And you did the exact same thing, maybe not with the hiring, but you brought up everybody that was not connected to the grassroots up there. And then a few people that you did bring up there, you want to attack them. Then you do an interview with Richard Spencer, and you sit up there, when he asks you, are you a man? You're going to say you're a Christian. That dude asks you, are you a black man? And you're going to say you're a Christian. See, the thing is, Roland failed. I don't want to hear nothing from Roland trying to assess Black News Channel. He has no right to even assessing anything. Roland had to come on the same playground that all of us is on. Roland could not go to another TV gig. Roland don't want to, I told y'all a long time ago, he don't want to be doing his own show. If they would give him a CNN check to be on there, if they would give him MSNBC, he would leave that in a minute. If they told him a part of the contract, you couldn't do that no more, but you here every week, or you got a daily show here, he'll leave it in a minute. He would leave it. He'll just maybe leave the website up, but he wouldn't be up there doing anything. He's forced to do that because them folks pushed him out. I don't even like to hear him talk. He was on CNN. He opened his mouth to something. I mean, Roland got caught giving Hillary debate questions. I mean, all kind of different things that Roland has done. And then he gets on the Black Network and he fails there. So why is Roland talking about BNC? And listen, let me tell y'all another thing too. I'm gonna address this and I'm gonna tell y'all for the last time. Don't tell me nothing about, well, Phil, I don't know why you got an issue with Roland. Why y'all beefing? Why don't you have an issue with him? This dude takes money to sell out our people. He takes money to sell out black people, to deliver up black people to the Democrat Party. And look what has happened to black people. And you're okay with that? But I understand some of y'all are game goofy. I get it. You be the same people who's running up there, voting Democrat, and we not getting nothing out of the deal. I get it. That means you may be the same kind of people. I'm sorry. I don't deal with snakes, fakes, and liars. I just don't do it. I don't care if they got a black face. I don't do. Matter of fact, I'll be harder on the ones that got black skin than the ones that there's somebody else. At least I see everybody else come. The ones with black skin, that's the ones they use to get slither underneath our, conversations, movements, and try to undermine it and destroy it. Boule Martin and his crowd are the same people that would have destroyed the Black Panthers. You know what I'm saying? Or any organization to try to get Marcus Garvey departed, trying to, undermine Dr. King, undermine Malcolm X. That's the type of people they use. They pay them to do this. Now, all the stuff is coming out about Boule Martin, and we've been saying forever about this money that he got. And like I said, people should be asking questions like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you are getting paid. You are a paid agent now. We see you a paid agent. They don't listen, the U.S. government don't give you $250,000 to promote black empowerment. I'm going to repeat that again. The United States government do not give you $250,000 to promote black empowerment. They know who they gave money to. You understand? That is, and listen, them folks expose Roland. That's what this goofy self don't even look at. Nobody was even asking about some money by Roland. Now, we've all knew about it, but nobody asked about the money with Roland. Nobody asked. But them folks strategically put that out there about Roland because he don't even realize the same people are trying to take him down too. But he's so goofy, he don't even realize it. Because they know that once we find out, we've been saying that about him, but once we find out about the type of money that he took, then we're going to have 1,000 other questions about, okay, if that's what they putting out about him now, what else they got on him? What other money they got on him? So, yeah, he's the last person talking about an autopsy because you know what? He need to be careful because he going to be talking about, somebody going to be talking about autopsy to him next. But continuing. Black News Channel, even though with all the capital that they had, they failed because they didn't understand the market that they were in. They was doing things old school. I'm also going to tell some of you journalists who's out there, black journalists, some of you established journalists, you went to school to get educated into the white system and to do news and everything the way white people would teach you to do it. So now you're this trained journalist. Oh, you're very trained, and that's okay. But I didn't go to white people's journalism school. I didn't do that. I just was me. I listened what the people is talking about. I even listened to some things that people are asking me to possibly talk about. If I can give some sort of credence to what is being said at the time. I feel the stories that I'm reporting because I'm personally invested because it is black people. Understand? And people feel that. A lot of times when y'all reporting, people don't feel you're reporting is because you guys are reading a teleprompter, and yet nothing wrong with reading a teleprompter. I even have notes that I'm taking down, and I'm making sure I want to hit certain points too. So I have my teleprompter in front of me. But the difference is my teleprompter just reminds me of a note I'm saying. Y'all are reading official narratives. And the reason why I know you don't feel these narratives is because the spirit of what you're saying isn't there. It isn't there whatsoever. Now, at the time they shut them down, okay, they said they had their highest ratings, and that was due to the confirmation hearings, in which I'm definitely going to talk about Corey Bussey too. That's coming because I mean, when I was sent that, I couldn't believe that crap. I said, what the hell is he doing? But it's not about the ratings. It's about making money. If you invest $50 million, well, then you need to get at least, at minimum, $100 million back. And when the money isn't being made for whatever the reason, and I understand markets change, things happen, then unfortunately you have to start either cutting back some things. You may say, hey, I can't pay this, but I want to always make sure to pay you. I may have to cut back to this. And tell people, look, the business have cut down, and I don't have the money that we once had to pay this. Now, if the market go back up, hey, I have no problem doing that. You know, sometimes you may get cut back in funds. Sometimes you may be given opportunities to make money just doing different things. Like for us here, you know, the most safest thing that we have here is our contributor program, because our contributor program, it doesn't put me on the hook for anything. You know, it's, you know, the agreement is what the agreement is. But when you start guaranteeing people salary and then the business go down, if you're not making it up for whatever the reason, you know, things happen. And then in our situation, at least Black News Channel wasn't dealing with this, at least on YouTube. Our situation is definitely on our news channel is that we know when certain things that we talk about as being, you know, suppressed in the algorithms. We know. Because like I said before, if you're sitting up here talking about I hate the black woman, I hate the black man, you know, and that's all you're doing all day, that's highly promoted now in the algorithm. But you speak against racism, white supremacy, you talk about empowerment, you're calling out these folks, that's not going to be pushed in the algorithm like that. So you have to work so much harder. Now, our podcast, I love our podcast because I actually like doing one podcast a day. And it's doing very well doing that. I love it. I love it. I would like to make this one news video a day too. And that would be great too. But unfortunately, the way things happen, you know, I mean, I got to fight what I got to fight through. I'm not one going to go complain about it all the time, but I mean, it is what it is. There's times that I get frustrated in this media space. Very, 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 very frustrated. Okay. But when I was in South Africa, people was coming up to me constantly that's off the street that didn't, you know, watch the show. Hey man, keep doing what you're doing. Man, I greatly appreciate it. It's needed, you know, and that was encouraging because sometimes I get tired of the whole thing. I do sometimes. So I understand how difficult it could be, but you cannot overhire. That's really their biggest thing. They overhired and then they try to get involved in TV. And TV is just, in America, it's a waste of time. You done better going to Africa and getting on TV over there versus doing it here. Here, everybody, you live in the West. People don't even have time to watch TV. That's the problem in the West because they work you to the bone. You don't have time for your family. You don't have time for anything. And you still don't make no money like you should in the West. You understand? So what time do you have to watch TV? So having everything digital and going along that, you know, lifestyle that we have here in the West is really what it is. So Black News Channel, you know, a lot of things they did wrong. Also, like I said, I talk about the hiring, but the lessons learned that we can learn from Black News Channel is this: get into the space of, like I say, on the internet, apps, social media, do that sort of thing, right? I always say have your own website, because if they try to quote unquote cancel you, at least you have your own website. Don't build everything up, and then if they decide to quote unquote cancel you, then they take you off of everything, then you have nowhere for people to go look for you. So that's why I always say try to get your audience over to your own website. That is always the goal. That's even our goal. Like I said, we're about 95% complete on our upgrade of our website, and I'm going to start pushing hard to people to go there to see certain things from us, because certain conversations I won't even have here, because I understand, it's certain narratives they want to push even here. So if it was revealed that they gave Negroes money to push a narrative, and you see certain things getting taken down on this site here that we're on now, well, who's to say that the government didn't give them a narrative? For instance, one channel called We On out of India, very cool, good channel, very, very good channel. They had got taken, taken down for a week or so, but people revolted against it because they was doing the even keel reporting on the situation with the Russia and Ukraine. They were reporting both sides, and obviously you see that it's a narrative where they don't want you to promote, or even talk about both sides of the situation. That's why. So everybody getting money from the government except Black people. They got money for everything else but Black people. But we're not surprised by Black News Channel whatsoever. At all. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back in Babylon. I'm trying to sit here and assess everything, and even in business myself, like I said, things aren't easy. It isn't, especially when you're a Black person trying to run things here in business. And then what gets you so much here in the United States is the labor cost. Labor cost is what gets you. I've told y'all many times before, it would be easier to go to a place like, South Africa, Kenya, wherever, do a whole studio over there. You can have a lot of people working for you there, and you will still, you could pay them good and still, come out in the positive. But, America is a very, very expensive country, and you can't pay people, pennies, or if you don't have much money to pay people, you need to tell them, look, don't quit your day job. Do this in addition to, but when you're telling people to quit their whole situation to come over work for you, you got to pay them. You got to pay them. And I hate that happened to the people at Black News Channel. I really do. I'm talking about the employees. I ain't talking about the station, but the employees who are working there, because they got bills too. And now they're not going to get their paychecks. That's kind of foul. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. It's your first time joining us. Make sure you click that like button so you can kind of try to spread this video in the algorithm. And make sure you subscribe. It's your first time subscribing here. And thank you very much. That way you know exactly when we post another podcast. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and see you next time.